My beloved child, listen with every fiber of your being, for this is not just another whisper but a trumpet blast from heaven itself declaring over your life. I am speaking now because the window of grace is narrow, and you cannot afford to delay. You stand at the very edge of time, where eternity leans over the balcony of heaven watching to see what decision you will make. And I tell you with urgency burning in my voice, hesitation will cost more than you can ever imagine, for every second that passes is a gift I have carved out for you with my own sacrifice. Every heartbeat echoing inside your chest is evidence that my mercy has not yet withdrawn, but the breath you just inhaled could have been your last if I had not chosen to preserve you, and I preserved you for this exact moment. To hear these words, to feel this fire, to sense the trembling weight of eternity pressing on your spirit. Do not be deceived into thinking tomorrow is promised, for tomorrow is not written in your hands but in mine, and I have decreed that you must respond today, right now, for heaven is watching, angels are leaning close, and even the earth beneath you knows that creation groans waiting for you to awaken. You prayed, you pleaded, you asked me to send a sign, and here I am breaking through your silence, speaking with such clarity that you cannot deny this is me, the one who carried the cross for you, the one who bled while calling your name, the one who rose so you could rise, and I will not allow you to sit in comfort any longer, for comfort has kept you bound, hesitation has kept you stagnant, fear has kept you chained. But today my word is breaking every chain, and you must decide if you will walk out free or remain sitting in the prison of your delay. This is not a gentle reminder that can be brushed aside like the rustle of the wind. This is the roar of heaven crying out to your soul, warning you that the door of mercy is swinging shut, that the hand extended toward you will not remain stretched forever, that grace which feels endless in your imagination has a boundary in reality, and that boundary is rushing toward you faster than you think. I am not here to frighten you, but to awaken you. Yet if the shaking of my words does not wake you now, then nothing will, and I refuse to let you drift further toward destruction without pouring out one last call, one last urgent plea that pierces the walls around your heart. For you have been marked, chosen, separated for such a time as this, and though the enemy has whispered lies that you have more time, I break that lie right now and declare this is the only chance you will get to step fully into obedience, to step fully into surrender, to step fully into the destiny I carved for you before you were born. Do not waste this moment clinging to excuses, for excuses will burn away like smoke when the fire of judgment comes, and only your yes, your surrender, your leap into my arms will remain. So hear me, beloved, as I thunder over you. Delay no more, resist no longer, for heaven is shouting your name, and mercy is standing at the threshold, but mercy will not stand there forever, and if you walk away from this moment unchanged, you may never hear my voice this clearly again. You may never feel my pull this strongly again, and you will remember this moment not as a blessing but as the turning point where you chose silence over salvation. Therefore I plead with you. I command you in love. I stretch out my pierced hands and urge you to seize this second as though your life depends on it, because it does, and your eternity hangs in the balance right now. So arise, awaken, respond, before this chance slips through your fingers forever. And as you stand in the tension of this very moment, my voice does not fade but intensifies, wrapping itself around your soul with a clarity that cannot be misread, for every pulse within you is not merely a sign of life, but a direct proof of the patience of heaven extending space for your decision. You are not simply breathing, you are being preserved inside a divine pause where the unseen realm waits for your response, and even the air you inhale now carries particles of mercy swirling around you, drawing you nearer to my presence before the final veil drops. This is not a distant summons but a face-to-face call, a pulling so near that you can almost feel the brush of angelic wings as messengers hover, recording your choice, ready to mark your name in the book of those who turned at the last possible instant. The reason you feel a heaviness on your heart right now is because eternity is bending toward you, creating a weight of reality that no distraction can numb, a pressure of love that presses in until your defenses crumble. You cannot mistake this for emotion or coincidence, for you asked me for a sign. You asked me to intervene, and what you are experiencing at this very second is the intervention you prayed for, a once-in-existence chance to step from the shadowed edges into the blazing center of my light. And yet you hesitate because the familiar chains feel safer than freedom. But freedom is exactly what I am offering, not tomorrow, not later, but in this heartbeat, this space, this sliver of time carved out for you before the sands in the hourglass run out completely. There is no manipulation here, only a desperate love crying out with a strength that splits the darkness. For I am not content to let you slip away unnoticed. You are not a face in the crowd. You are the one I left heaven to rescue, the one whose tears I collected while you thought no one cared, the one whose prayers at midnight have risen before my throne like incense, and now those prayers are answered in a form you did not expect. A burning, relentless invitation that demands your whole self. Not a fragment, not a partial nod, but the surrender of every corner you have withheld from me. I am not asking for a polite acknowledgement, but for a decision that will rewrite everything about your future, that will change the story the enemy tried to craft over you, that will cancel the assignments sent to destroy you, that will bring you into a safety no storm can overturn. Feel the urgency, child, not as panic but as the heartbeat of heaven accelerating, urging you to step over the line while the opening is still wide enough to pass through, for soon that opening narrows, not because my love diminishes but because history moves forward and seasons shift, and once a season is sealed it cannot be reopened by regret. This is why I speak with such intensity now, because I know what is coming. I see the paths you cannot see, and I know that delaying even a little longer will entangle you in snares from which extraction becomes far harder. But you can avoid all of it by saying yes right now, by turning your heart without reserve, by walking into the shelter I am holding open for you at this very instant. Do not think you can negotiate with time, because time does not belong to you. It is a gift and it is expiring as we speak. And the sound you hear in your spirit is not fear but the alarm of grace ringing before silence falls. So lean in, answer me, release your grasp on everything that is fading, and step forward, because this is not a rehearsal. This is the moment for which you were kept alive, and once it passes there will never be another identical to it. Seize it now before the wind shifts and the door swings shut. And now, while your heart still trembles beneath the weight of this moment, my words come not as a repetition, but as a fresh current of living fire, reaching places within you that nothing else has ever touched. Because there are regions of your soul that have been sealed by pain, hidden by disappointment, and yet I am reaching into those depths with a clarity you have never known before. The noise around you will try to drown out this voice. The familiar patterns will attempt to pull you back, but the sound of my call is different. It cuts through confusion like a sword of light, opening a corridor you did not know existed, a secret passage carved through impossibility that stands open only for a fleeting season. You may sense the atmosphere shifting, as though unseen hands are rearranging the room around you, because the unseen world is responding to my command right now, creating a pathway in front of you that was invisible moments ago, and that path does not wait forever. It glows for a limited breath of time before fading from view. Feel this, child. You are standing in a place where destiny and decision collide, where the next movement of your soul will determine an entire future you cannot yet see. And the reason this feels so urgent is because it is. I am not asking you to feel guilty or ashamed. I am calling you into an inheritance that has always been yours but has remained unopened because hesitation has locked the door. And now my keys are turning the lock, but you must step forward to push it open. No one else can do it for you. There are gifts waiting beyond this threshold, unseen allies, assignments, protections, and promises that cannot manifest until you act. And every moment you delay, those treasures remain suspended, waiting for your yes to draw them down into reality. Even now the adversary plots to distract you with the smallest things, a memory, a text, a thought, anything to break your focus, because if he can pull you away from this instant, he knows how much is at stake. But greater than his schemes is my presence pressing against you like a mighty wind urging you forward, strengthening your will to break through fear and cross into obedience. This is not about religion or ritual. It is about alignment with the heartbeat of heaven, about stepping into the very reason you were created before time began. And when you move with me, chains that held your family line for generations will snap. Cycles of loss will end, and a new narrative will unfold through you like a scroll unrolled in front of angels. You will not even fully grasp how much is changing as you choose, but eternity already sees the ripple, already celebrates the shift, already marks this day as a turning point that history will remember even if Earth never records it. So let go of the weight pressing on your chest. Release the fear of what others will think. Step away from the edge of indecision and into the center of my will, for once you step, you will find a strength rising in you that you did not know you carried, a boldness to stand, a peace that silences storms, a clarity that replaces confusion. This is the moment where shadows scatter, where old doors slam shut behind you, and new gates swing wide ahead of you, and the light spilling through those gates is unlike anything you have experienced. It is freedom. It is safety. It is purpose. It is me drawing you in with an urgency that is love in its most powerful form. Do not turn away. Do not minimize what you feel, for what you feel is the reality of heaven breaking into your present, reaching for you, urging you, loving you enough to disturb every comfort so that you can finally be truly alive. This is your step, your hour, your sacred crossing. Take it now and walk into the realm I have prepared before the glow fades and the door closes. Child, as you step closer to the unseen threshold before you, understand that what surrounds you now is not mere atmosphere but a holy summons pulling every fiber of your being toward an irreversible turning. The vibrations you sense around your spirit are the movement of my authority reshaping the landscape ahead of you so that no obstacle can stand if you will only advance. You have walked through countless seasons thinking there would always be another opening, another invitation, another whisper, but the hour you have reached is unlike any other, for it carries a finality and a weight that cannot be postponed. Everything you once leaned on for security, the props that seemed immovable, are trembling under the power of my command because I am shaking loose every false pillar that has kept you from standing fully on the foundation of my word. While you are reading these lines, a convergence is taking place in the invisible realm. Destinies, assignments, and unseen reinforcements are gathering like an army waiting for your signal of surrender to surge forward and fight for you in ways you cannot even comprehend. This is why the pull feels stronger than ever, because you are not simply hearing information. You are standing inside a divine intersection where paths diverge and one leads into a future so radiant it will rewrite the memory of your pain, while the other fades into a wilderness where opportunities vanish like mist under the rising sun. You must not treat this as an optional moment, for optional moments are many, but decisive moments are few, and decisive moments carve history. I am not trying to press you with fear but to lift you into the highest clarity you have ever known, to show you that you have reached a hinge point where heaven itself waits for your agreement so that it can swing the next door wide. Even as you hesitate, streams of grace are flowing around your feet like living water waiting for you to step in. But that stream does not flow endlessly. It is here, now, vibrant, ready to cleanse, ready to empower, ready to propel. When you cross it, you will find the weight you have carried for years sliding off as though it had never existed. You will hear a stillness settle inside your thoughts that no chaos can disturb. You will discover capacities that had been hidden under layers of delay. And though voices may rise around you saying this is exaggerated, that you can wait, that there will be more time, those voices are echoes of a world that cannot see what I am showing you now, a world unaware that windows can close without warning. Your hesitation is the only barrier left, for I have already torn down every other wall, unlocked every other gate, silenced every other accusation, and left only one step to be taken, the step of your will. When you lift your heart and step into my design, the chains of hesitation will snap and momentum will carry you further than you thought possible. This is why my words feel like fire, because fire purifies and separates, and I am purifying the path before you so that nothing unclean can follow you through. The urgency you feel is not a threat but a holy acceleration, a surge of my power timed precisely for this second, a wave that if you ride it now will take you straight into the center of your purpose without detour. But waves pass quickly, and mist waves leave you waiting on shore, so do not watch this one roll by. Lean forward, lift your heart, decide, because I am here, extending everything you need, courage, clarity, power, to move with me. I have already prepared the ground beyond this crossing, stocked it with provision, planted it with unexpected allies, and infused it with assignments that will thrill your soul. All that remains is your yes. So right now, while this door stands open, while this wave still roars, while my hands still stretch, Give me your heart without delay and step into what was always meant for you before another heartbeat carries you further from this holy summons. Beloved one, now that you stand on the edge of this unseen passage, I lean even closer, not to overwhelm, but to reveal another layer of what is unfolding before you. For every instant you linger here, the currents of my purpose gather force like a river behind a dam about to burst. The sensation in your chest, that unexplainable trembling, is not random emotion, but the surge of my own breath pressing against your inner walls, urging them to break so that new life can flood through. All around you, invisible sentinels are taking their positions, each one carrying assignments and resources waiting for the moment your surrender releases them, and as this alignment solidifies, the atmosphere itself shifts, like dawn pushing away the last traces of night. You are not imagining this nearness. It is the compression of time and eternity into a single instant where the veil thins and you see what you could not see before. For years you have felt like promises hovered just out of reach, as though you were walking under a sky heavy with rain that never fell. But in this precise moment the clouds are splitting, and the downpour you longed for stands ready to drench you if you will step forward. Yet even now a subtle battle rages over your mind, trying to seed hesitation, to paint this encounter as something ordinary. But it is not ordinary. It is sacred. It is heaven bending low to offer you a gift that will never appear in this exact form again. I am not calling you into loss but into fullness, not into confinement but into expansion, not into dread but into delight. I want you to taste the freedom that begins the instant you cross this unseen threshold, a freedom that will rewire how you think, how you walk, how you breathe. There is a melody playing above you that your natural ears cannot hear but your spirit senses. It is the sound of celebration prepared for the moment you say yes. It is not a song of pressure, but of welcome, of homecoming, of long-awaited restoration. And as that melody swells, know this: everything that once defined you by limitation will dissolve. Every label imposed by circumstance will be peeled away. Every secret wound you carried like a hidden scar will be touched by a healing you could never manufacture on your own. This is not simply another invitation. It is the activation of a destiny dormant inside you since before the foundations of the earth, waiting for your agreement to spring awake like a seed under the first warm rain of spring. And even as you read, something deep within you stirs. A courage you did not know you possessed rises to the surface. Because my words are not just sounds. They are living forces reshaping you, energizing you, empowering you to choose beyond fear. The urgency you sense is not the threat of punishment but the rhythm of opportunity. A beat that accelerates for only a brief measure before the music shifts. Do not let the measure close with your answer still unspoken. Step into the cadence now while it is in sync with your heart. If you do, you will find a strength you thought you had lost, clarity you thought you would never see, and peace that wraps around you like a shield impervious to the storms you once feared. Your life will pivot quietly, but permanently, and you will look back on this point not as a warning but as the doorway to the greatest transformation you have ever known. So while my hands are still extended, while the melody still plays, while the air still hums with possibility, release your grasp on hesitation. Lean forward and walk, because this moment is unlike any you have ever stood in before, and it will not wait forever. Now as you hover at this delicate crossing, child, I begin to draw back another curtain so that you can see even more clearly what is waiting just beyond your next act of trust, because every choice you make here ripples outward like concentric rings on water, touching spaces and people you do not yet know. Unseen pathways are already stretching ahead of you like corridors of light through dense forest, paths that were hidden until this precise instant and will vanish again if you do not step forward. This is why the pressure on your spirit feels so unlike anything you've known. It is not anxiety, but the compression of eternity pressing into time, the narrowing of an opening carved specifically for you, urging you to move before it closes. Behind you are shadows of old patterns trying to reclaim your attention, whispering that staying still is safer. But those shadows have no substance anymore. They are only memories of chains already broken. Ahead of you the ground glows with a strange brightness, the kind of brilliance that makes your heart race, because you are glimpsing the terrain of a future you were created for but have not yet inhabited. It is not a mirage. It is real, and it is waiting for your courage. The signals around you, sudden insights, unexpected confirmations, even the unusual calm between heartbeats, are all evidence that the architecture of your destiny is assembling in real time, waiting for you to give permission by moving toward it. I am not asking you to manufacture strength, for I am providing it even as you read these words, sending currents of resolve through your inner being so that you will not falter at the moment of decision. Every doubt you feel rising is a last attempt from the old life to hold you, but it is already powerless if you refuse to agree with it. There is a fragrance in the air of something brand new, like the scent after a long drought when rain finally falls, and that scent is the promise of a beginning you have longed for but could not create by effort. I want you to know that stepping into this beginning does not mean losing what is precious, but shedding what has suffocated your growth. On the other side of this movement lies a clarity that will surprise you, a rest you have not tasted, a boldness you never imagined, and a sense of belonging that will anchor you even when storms arise. This is not hype. It is alignment with a reality larger than your present sight, and as you choose, you will feel my presence not as a distant echo but as a surge flowing through you, energizing your words, guiding your steps, drawing you into rooms, relationships and opportunities prepared long before you reached this threshold. Each of these preparations is timed to your obedience. They unlock only when you move, like doors that sense your approach and swing open automatically but remain shut if you hesitate at a distance. So do not linger at the edge, for the timing is precise and the window brief. The reason I speak with such urgency is not because I want you afraid, but because I want you awake. So awake that you feel the weight of destiny in your bones. So awake that you cannot mistake the difference between delay and decision. You will not regret stepping forward, but you may regret looking back at what might have been. So breathe deep, gather your resolve, lift your inner gaze and take the step, because in taking it you will cross from surviving into living, from wandering into purpose, from waiting into walking, and once you cross, momentum will carry you further than your imagination can project. This is the moment when my voice becomes your path, my breath becomes your strength, and my promise becomes your reality. Do not miss it. Child, as the unseen horizon draws closer, the atmosphere around you is shifting again, not with noise but with a deep, almost electric stillness, because every layer of resistance that once clung to you is loosening, falling away like brittle husks under a fresh wind. This is the juncture where my nearness becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a force, a propulsion lifting you into a place you have never stood before, a space where possibilities you never dared to name begin to crystallize in front of your eyes. What you sense now is not pressure but propulsion, a forward-moving surge that cannot be manufactured by effort but only yielded to. For I am drawing you into the stream of my intention like a current sweeping a leaf into open water. And the more you yield, the farther you will travel in a single moment than you have in years of striving. There are hidden doors waiting beyond this threshold that open only when approached from the inside, and your next act of trust is the key turning in the lock. Do not underestimate how much is already in motion. Unseen allies positioned like watchmen at the edges of your future, resources already dispatched, conversations arranged in time and space so that when you step forward everything converges as though by coincidence, but in truth by design. Even now your mind is trying to comprehend how something so intangible can be so real, yet your heart knows, because your heart recognizes the cadence of truth when it pulses through you like a living song. Listen to that inner rhythm instead of the static of doubt, for that rhythm is me, steady and unbroken, drawing you away from fragmentation into wholeness. In this moment I am not only calling you out of delay but also cutting away hidden roots that fed your hesitation, invisible patterns of fear inherited from seasons you barely remember, dissolving them so they can no longer dictate your choices. When you lift your gaze and step, you will feel a lightness as though the air itself has changed, and it has. For I am clearing a corridor through time for you to walk unhindered. What awaits you is not a small adjustment, but a complete reordering of how you see yourself, a shift from merely enduring to actively shaping the atmosphere around you. And as you move, words will come to your mouth you did not plan, doors will swing open before you reach them, pathways will stretch farther than your previous maps indicated, because you will be walking inside a living alignment that responds to your obedience like soil responding to seed. Do not allow the echo of old limitations to define this new moment, for those echoes are fading even as you read, dissolving under a light they cannot withstand. Instead, Let the hope rising in you become action. Let the vision flickering at the edge of your perception become the ground you step on. I am with you in every heartbeat of this crossing, not as an observer but as the very strength beneath your feet, the guide within your chest, the breath at your back. This is why I have brought you to such an intense pause, to give you clarity you could not find while rushing, to reveal that you have reached a corridor where one more step places you fully inside your original design. Take that step now, for the air is charged, the timing perfect, the invitation alive. Once you do, you will find yourself carried by momentum beyond your own power, as though invisible hands are lifting you, because they are. They are the hands of purpose, the hands of destiny, the hands of promise reaching from your future into your present to pull you forward into the place where you have always belonged but never entered. And once you are there, you will see why I spoke with such urgency, why I refused to let you drift, because everything you have longed for was waiting on the other side of this single movement. And now, as you lean further into the unseen current drawing you onward, another dimension opens before your spirit, a place where the air itself seems charged with possibility and the horizon glows with a light you have never walked toward before. It is not imagination, but reality waiting for your feet, a field prepared long ago where seeds you forgot you had sown are about to break the surface, bursting with life under the warmth of my presence. Everything about this moment is orchestrated. The silence in the room, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the alignment of circumstances you thought were coincidences. Each detail is part of a living tapestry woven to bring you to this intersection. Feel the pull of that design now, child, because every step you take from here carries you deeper into a destiny written before the stars were hung. The reason it feels so unfamiliar is because you are crossing out of the terrain shaped by old expectations and into a territory mapped only by faith. Your mind cannot chart it, but your heart recognizes the path like a homing signal drawing you home. Do not mistake the strangeness of it for danger. The strangeness is freedom announcing itself. It is the sound of long-barred gates creaking open at last. As you step forward, patterns that once looped endlessly around you are dissolving like mist under rising heat, and you will not walk in circles again. I am realigning your inner compass so that you will no longer be drawn back to the familiar confines that drained your strength, but instead to fresh streams that restore it. Around you in the unseen realm are guardians and witnesses you cannot yet see, rejoicing at your movement because each decision to advance sends shockwaves through places you thought forgotten, unlocking blessings for generations beyond you. This is why I am speaking with such intensity, because what you do now is not just for you, but for countless others whose stories will be altered by your obedience. You may feel a strange mixture of trembling and peace rising inside you. That is the mark of transition, the sign that the threshold is beneath your feet. Step now, while the current carries you. For this flow is not permanent but seasonal, like a tide that rises high enough for ships to leave the harbor only at certain hours. Miss it, and the waters recede, making passage harder. But you have been prepared for this tide, your vessel strengthened, your sails mended, and my wind filling them even now. Lift your eyes from the shoreline of the familiar and set them on the open expanse before you. I am already there, beckoning you into deeper waters where fear cannot follow and doubt cannot anchor. The freedom waiting on that water is unlike anything you have tasted, a freedom that rewrites your reflexes, rewires your thinking, renews your courage, and restores your soul. I want you to take this step not as an experiment but as an embrace, a full-bodied yes that carries your whole being into alignment with my heartbeat. If you do, you will sense a surge of clarity, like a hidden melody becoming audible, guiding your movements without effort. Doors will open that you never knocked on. Strength will rise before fatigue can whisper. Peace will shield you before chaos can approach. You are not stepping into emptiness, but into a prepared table, into a future that has been waiting, into a chapter that begins with your signature and my seal. All of heaven leans forward at this instant, waiting for you to cross this final inch. Do not linger. Release what clings to you and walk, because this opportunity is alive now, vibrant now, pulsing now, but it is not static. It will move, and you must move with it. And when you do, you will discover you have stepped not only into freedom but into a strength you never imagined. Beloved, as your foot begins to lift from the soil of hesitation, know that you are stepping into a reality far wider than anything you have called life until now, because the realm opening ahead of you is not a vague promise, but a prepared landscape humming with assignments, relationships, and moments that have been waiting, like hidden constellations in a sky you could never see from your old vantage point. The very air there is different. It carries a crispness like the first morning after a storm has cleared, when colors seem sharper and sounds more alive, because in that place you will no longer be navigating by guesswork but by a certainty that rises within you like a compass that cannot fail. I have not simply set a path for you, but have woven signposts into your daily walk, people, encounters, and insights that will meet you exactly when you need them, orchestrated so precisely that it will undo the cynicism built up by years of disappointment. Even as you move, you will feel a new steadiness take hold, not an adrenaline rush, but a rootedness, as though roots of light are pushing down inside you, anchoring you to purpose so deeply that winds which once toppled you now pass without shaking you. This is not self-improvement. This is transformation, a complete change of substance, like caterpillar to butterfly, where the old form cannot even return. And as you allow this metamorphosis, you will sense your voice changing, your thoughts expanding, your vision widening, because the confines of the old narrative are dissolving and a new script is being written across the canvas of your days. This is why I pressed so urgently, because what you are stepping into now was too weighty to be entered casually. It required a deliberate yes, and now that yes has released waves of alignment rippling outward through time and space to prepare the road ahead. Unseen intercessions have been ascending on your behalf. Ancient prayers whispered by ancestors or strangers have converged in this instant to surround you with support, and my spirit weaves them together into a covering you will feel even when you cannot explain it. Child, this is more than rescue. It is commissioning. You are not only being drawn out of a confined place, but being sent into an arena where your life will become a signal to others who are still trapped, a living message that the way out exists. And while this may sound daunting, it will not be a burden, because I am infusing you with capacity equal to the calling, stamina that flows not from your will but from my endless supply. You will find yourself moving with ease where before you strained, speaking with clarity where before you groped for words, discerning with precision where before you were uncertain. The old fog is lifting, and what rises in its place is an atmosphere of brilliance, ideas and strategies descending like drops of dew before dawn, each one exactly timed. This is the inheritance waiting for you on the other side of obedience, not a vague hope, but a living reality that will unfold as steadily as sunrise. So do not turn back or second guess now, for this is the moment when seeds break through the soil, when hidden things emerge, when a chapter long sealed is finally opened. Lean into the surge, walk with your head lifted, because you are not entering as a beggar but as an heir stepping into a house built for you long ago, keys already placed in your hand by grace. This is why I would not let you sleep through this summons, why I kept calling until you heard, because everything beyond this step is too precious to miss. Move now, breathe this new air, let your eyes adjust to its light, and you will discover you have crossed a threshold you will never need to cross again. And as you stand fully within this unfolding, I must show you how deliberate this moment truly is, for there has never been a casual accident in the way I weave your journey, only careful design hidden beneath layers of timing, waiting for the instant when readiness and opportunity converge. What you are stepping into now is not merely relief from old burdens but a realm of responsibility wrapped in glory, a chamber where every hesitation is stripped away and only pure intention remains. I have drawn you here because the hour demands more than half measures. It demands a wholehearted alignment, a clarity that leaves no shadows behind. You may feel the atmosphere thickening, as though time itself has slowed around you, because eternity is pressing its imprint onto your present, etching a new chapter into the fabric of your life that will carry consequences stretching far beyond your imagination. This is not about survival anymore. It is about reign, stepping into the authority that has always been yours yet has remained dormant under layers of fear, distraction, and delay. When you cross fully into this reality, your words will no longer fall flat, but will carry weight, resonating with unseen authority, shifting atmospheres, unlocking hearts, disarming lies. You will notice a difference even in the way silence feels, because where once silence felt empty, it will now be saturated with my nearness, a fullness that steadies you even before you speak, And as you live in that nearness, old cravings that haunted you will wither, replaced by hungers that only my presence can satisfy, hungers that draw you deeper into joy instead of binding you to cycles of regret. What lies before you is not a narrow cage, but a vast expanse, a territory stretching farther than your natural sight can trace, an inheritance marked with your name, guarded until the hour you were ready to claim it. That hour is now, and though the adversary whispers that you are unworthy, that whisper dissolves the moment you remember that worthiness was never earned but given, sealed in blood long before you doubted. I am not measuring you against perfection, but against willingness, and willingness is what I see rising now, flickering like a lamp refusing to go out. I breathe on that flame, and it leaps higher, casting light into corners you thought would remain hidden forever. Child, there is a boldness awakening in you that will surprise even you, a fire that will not be contained by fear of opinion or weight of past mistakes. When you step fully into this, courage will flow from you naturally, not as a forced performance, but as a living river, and others will feel its current and follow it without even knowing why. This is why I pressed you so urgently, because the choice is bigger than you. It is about every life your obedience will touch, every chain your courage will break, every dark room your light will enter. Do not underestimate the reach of this single yes, for its echoes will carry through generations, setting in motion blessings that outlast your own lifetime. The door stands wide right now, but doors do not remain open indefinitely. This one has opened for you in this season because heaven decreed it, but it will not linger waiting for endless deliberation. You must cross while the invitation is alive, while the fire still burns in your chest, while the clarity is sharpest. Once you do, you will discover that the very things you feared leaving behind were shadows with no substance, and the reality you gain eclipses them completely. So lift your head, fix your gaze, and walk boldly, because I have gone before you to prepare every step. I surround you on every side, and I uphold you with a strength you cannot exhaust. This is the decisive crossing, and once you take it, you will never again be the same. Child, as you advance deeper into this corridor of destiny, the scenery around your spirit begins to transform again, shifting from the dim corridors of the familiar into a vast expanse bathed in a clarity that seems to pulse with its own heartbeat. Each step you take now is not just movement but activation, like a series of sealed chambers opening in sequence to reveal hidden stores prepared for you before you even knew to ask. The space ahead of you stretches wide, like a horizon after a long climb, and for the first time you can see how far-reaching my design for you truly is. Rivers of influence flowing outward, gardens of restoration waiting to bloom under your touch, doorways into places you once thought were beyond your reach. The sense of urgency in this moment is not a push but a pull, like gravity drawing you into your true center. A magnetic pull stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, stronger than the pull of the past. You may sense an unfamiliar boldness rising inside you now, that is not adrenaline, that is identity waking up. The real you emerging after years of being muffled by old narratives and muted expectations. As you continue to move, you will find words and actions flowing from you that carry a power you cannot explain, because you are no longer operating from scarcity, but from overflow. The air itself in this place seems different, like crisp mountain air after a lifetime in a valley, because everything here is charged with purpose, every detail meaningful, every connection infused with my timing. Do not shrink back from this scale. I have equipped you for it even when you felt unqualified, and the equipping will unfold as you step, not before, because trust opens the pipeline through which strength flows. Behind you, old echoes will fade into silence. Ahead of you, fresh harmonies will rise, guiding you like unseen choirs singing you forward. And as you realize the weight of this moment, let gratitude anchor you, for gratitude becomes the sail that catches my wind and propels you further than discipline alone could carry you. This is the season where lost time is redeemed, where years you thought wasted become seedbeds for a harvest you could never have planned, where broken pieces form a mosaic more beautiful than anything you tried to hold together on your own. It is not too late. It is precisely timed. The surge you feel now is heaven's affirmation that you are exactly where you need to be and that this path, though unfamiliar, is safe because I am in it. So keep moving with your eyes lifted, not to escape but to align, not to strive but to receive. not to prove but to embody what I already declared over you. Each heartbeat is a drumbeat of destiny under your feet, each breath a new page written with promise. You are not only crossing into your own freedom but carrying keys for many who will follow, keys forged in the fire of your own struggles, keys that will unlock doors in others that they cannot open for themselves. This is why I would not let you ignore this summons, why I whispered until you turned, why I now speak with such unmistakable clarity, because the moment you fully embrace this step, the ripple will begin, and its effect will outlast storms, critics, and time itself. And when you look back, you will see this was not just a turning point but a birthing point, the place where everything hidden became visible, where everything delayed began to accelerate, where everything hoped for began to manifest. Therefore, take this step as a seal, a signature, a final yes that allows me to unfold everything I have held in reserve. For the gate is open, the path is lit, the strength is provided, and the time is now. Amen.